Derek is wrong.
Headline, InterVarsity can require its leaders to be Christian, judge rules. What is InterVarsity?
InterVarsity is, they go into a little bit of detail there, but it is basically just a student-led group.
All right.
Within, I think it's Iowa State University or whatever. But yeah, it's a varsity athletics Christian.
Wow.
Okay, yes.
Is there an alternative one?
A Christian student group can require its leaders to be Christian.
That was the ruling.
Should I have a problem with that?
I feel like it
if it's a Christian organization,
let's read
it's
further.
like, well, duh. That's a decision a judge reached last week in InterVarsity Christian Fellowship /USA versus the University of Iowa, a lawsuit the Evangelical Christian Campus Ministry brought against the university and several of its leaders after the school booted InterVarsity and other religiously affiliated student groups for requiring their leaders to share their faiths.
So it's they can require their leaders to share their faiths and be on the campus of a public university. Right. Seems like what the ruling is.
No group, religious or secular, could survive with leaders who reject its values. We're grateful the court has stopped the university's religious discrimination, and we look forward to continuing our ministry on campus for years to come.
You like my editorial?
Discrimination?
Yeah. Discriminate. Okay.
So if the campus does not have, like, official organizations that are campus organizations that are religious, and it's it's not a private school, right?
Right.
It's like a public university.
This is the classic, you're not allowing me to discriminate, and that's discrimination. It's like you pointing out me being racist is the racist thing, not me being racist.
Yeah.
So are the organizations, are they concerned about, like, say, a non-religious person taking a leadership role in an organization and sabotaging it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I get that would be their structure, but I think the point of clash is that the university has said, here is a religious organization that requires people to be religious to join. We do not want a religious organization on our campus, or something like that.
I don't know if that's the thing.
No, they allow.
They have a religious organization on camp.
It is specifically about requiring leadership within the already religious organization to also be religious.
Right.
It's a
religious test type thing. Or requirement.
Yeah, it's a religious test to be a leader in a organization on campus.
Yeah, I think it's a non-issue, and because you're in a religious group at university. You're not gonna, as a non-religious person, you are not going to rise through the ranks of this explicitly religious organization.
Well, that's how they do it.
If you're going to be a leader, you're not going to come off the street and be a leader.
Yeah.
If the leaders rise through the ranks and are not just assigned, I don't know how it works.
I say there's zero threat of a non-religious person becoming
probably.
My question is, like, the organization is explicitly religious. Like, it's like, this is the Jesus organization of sports, which is the impression I'm getting. Or is it, this is one of the sports organizations that has passed a rule requiring people to be Christian?
Here's more. The lawsuit came in August 2018 after the University of Iowa claimed InterVarsity was violating the university's human rights policy by requiring leaders to affirm the organization's statement of faith. That policy prohibits discrimination based on race, creed, color, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, or other attributes.
Okay, so a specific statement of faith divides Christians. Right?
Yeah.
So it's very, like, okay. All right.
And a statement of faith is something you generally would have to sign.
Yeah.
Like, I know the Arc Park requires you to sign a statement of faith in order to work there.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know.
Don't you have to also, like, affirm that you believe in creationism?
Yeah, you have to be a young earth creationist.
Deny evolution.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't exactly looking to see what benefits they offered.
So if we take the ARC experience, example, and I lied on my application and got a job there and sabotaged that. Do you think that would be an issue?
That would be
or a spy.
That would be a thought crime within the workplace, I guess.
Yeah.
I
could be like a spy or something.
From the ARC part.
Or I could sabotage the animatronics.
I was gonna say I believe that it is not the position of the ACA that you should sabotage people's
right, but
work.
I can see where they would be nervous about a person who's not.
I would never do anything like that.
Religious. Yeah, it does go directly against the university policy.
Read on.
Okay, in June 2018, the university deregistered InterVarsity for more than a month, returning it to good standing only after it sued. During that time, the University of Iowa limited InterVarsity's access to campus, froze its bank account, shut down its website, and labeled it defunct for lack of student interest, according to a statement from Beckett. Membership in the student group dropped from the nearly 40 students to just over 20, the sharpest membership decline in over 20 years, according to the Legal Institute.
See, that's where I would actually go to their defense because I feel like that was a little overzealous.
Yeah.
At that end, if your reasoning is that their requirements violate your human rights policy, you shouldn't say that they labeled it defunct because of a lack of interest, not offering us a separate reason for why they deregistered.
Right. All students are welcome to join InterVarsity, which hosts weekly Bible studies and monthly meetings for prayer, worship, and discussion. However, leaders are required to affirm its statement of faith.
Again, they are requiring an action where you sign a statement of faith document. That is different than...
Yeah, and is directly in conflict with the policy
that's
of the
different.
university.
That's different than, other types of discrimination.
Yeah.
So, I don't...
That's a tough one, man.
Yeah, I'd like more information, I think, because...
It sounds like they need to adjust the policy to allow explicitly religious organizations some latitude.
Well, I mean, so here's sort of my question is, to what degree does a not deregistered, or I suppose a registered organization act as like an official part of the school?
Yeah, public school.
Don't know.
Yeah, the public school. Because if it's like, oh, okay, here you can... Like, it's not, if it had banned people from campus or something, there would be very little. What are you doing?
To what extent is it entangled with the public school?
I mean, because I don't understand what the effect of deregistering this organization is. I don't really know why it was necessary to not. Because it said it froze its bank account, and I know that officially, there are universities that go, this is an official student group. You get an extra little bonus money from the university to do cool stuff.
Well, maybe this will shed more light.
Yeah.
In a related September 25th hearing and in the judge's ruling, the judge pointed to her decision earlier this year in Business Leaders in Christ versus InterVarsity, saying the university violated the group's rights when it deregistered the group over its religious belief that sex should be reserved for marriage between a husband and a wife.
Yeah, okay. And I don't think that I disagree with that one necessarily because they have the right to have the wrong position on something, just not to discriminate their membership based on that.
Now I have a question. This is reaching back to old ACA'S episodes, but I recall it being mentioned. I'm not sure if it's current, but was there like a statement that was required of people applying for a membership to the ACA?
To be a member of the Atheist Community of Austin, you must be an atheist.
Right.
We are not a public organization in that we are not associated with either a public school or the government. We're
But we do have
501c3.
A statement saying that we don't have to we don't tell them to deny Christ or anything like that.
No,
but we do say
but it's to join the Atheist Community of Austin, you have to be an atheist, right? And so, in the same way that to join a church, right, the reason for me that this is a question is that I don't know to what degree it's a part of the university, and I also don't know necessarily what the specifics of deregistering an organization are. When I was on campus, there was a chapter of I forget which fraternity that the university didn't register, and that the national part of that fraternity, I forget what it is, unfranchised it or whatever the term for that is, because it was like the kind of social frat that's a bunch of bros, and it was a big scandal while I was there because a bunch of stuff came out where they were talking about the best way to like get women incredibly drunk in order to have sex with them and all of this. And that was the problem. And so that was a group of students that did stuff on campus that wasn't officially recognized, right? SSA at Baylor is not an official organization. There is no official Secular Student Alliance at Baylor. There's a group of students that form the SSA, and so there's things that they can't do, right? Like they can't reserve a room, they don't get a budget from the university, but I don't know what that is. Certainly if they stopped students from gathering to pray.
Yeah. Here's something more. The judge also pointed out the university's uneven enforcement of its policies for student groups.
Oh, come on, guys.
It allows fraternities and sororities to admit only men and women, respectively, and Pi Kappa Phi requires members to be believers in God and exhibit the highest ideals of Christian manhood. Another group called Love Works requires its leaders to affirm the LGBTQ community and acknowledge that Jesus will be at the center of everything we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's also interesting that her citations are all of other religious organizations, because to me, it actually doesn't. The question, because they're not affirming it, is based on their violation of their human rights policy, which prevents discrimination on those bases. They did say fraternities and sororities to admit only men and women, right? So that's an example of that. But I don't know what the details of their human rights policy, if there's a specific exception carved out for those, but...
Well, the University of Iowa has since revised its student organization policy to allow student groups to require their leaders agree to and support that group's beliefs.
Okay. See, I think I want to say, since we are going off of somewhat limited information, I feel like it's probably the statement of faith is the the breaking point for why this violated the terms of the human rights.
Yeah, sounded
stuff.
like.
And those other organizations didn't, because they did not require a statement of a signed statement, I assume.
Right.
Well, whether it's signed officially or like affirmed is...
Yeah.
Whether or not there's an actual signature doesn't really change whether it's like...
Well, I mean,
official.
It's binding. It's still unenforceable because it's a thought-based...
Well, yeah.
Do you think it's discrimination if you have a group that is formed, regardless of where if it's public or whatnot, that's formed with a specific agenda, with a specific clientele, and they only want those specific groups in there and don't restrict people that are not of that group? Is that?
I can't say that in as a principle. I do not think that is unfair discrimination.
if you're a club.
Yeah. This is what it is. It's just a type of club.
Well, but under that assumption, because as far as I know,
this is very simplistic. Also, description of the scenario.
I'm just not sure if we would allow that to operate a government.
That's
group,
where
a government agency or something, which has forces you to sign a religious.
Yeah, and you're receiving public funding from everyone, from every taxpayer is feeding into you, and you're requiring the statement of faith.
It's kind of like they want their cake and they want to eat it too.
A little bit. So if it is a part of the organization in that it receives funding from the school, then it's also important to point out that the school has a policy of it's changed now, but has a policy of if you want to have a student group, you must do this, in the same way that that organization had a policy, if you want to be a leader in this organization, you must do this. So are both unfair, or is neither, or are both
What if
permitted?
they worded it as a criteria? You have to meet certain criteria to join this group. And one of that criteria be this religious whatever?
Well, I think I think to answer your point specifically, Jamie, you're discriminating against my right to discriminate thing.
Yeah.
The school is saying you don't get to have this arbitrary discriminatory rule, and they're saying, no, that's discrimination. I should get to do that. And also, again, what I brought up at the very beginning, and I don't know if you guys agree with me, that this was entirely unnecessary because there is, I would say, as close to 0% chance of a non-religious leader leading these religious groups.
I think
this was a non-issue, and they created an issue just so they could, put a little notch on their bedpost.
I mean,
Possible.
there's that, but then you can also say that it was unnecessary for the organization to say that they were being discriminatory if they were never offered the opportunity to actually discriminate against a non-Christian or a non-Christian person that wanted to be a leader. Like if it is a non-issue, if there wasn't a, for lack of a better word, plaintiff, or if there wasn't a tort committed, then the policy being discriminatory is interesting. So their initial policy is one thing, but I think the broader question that we can address, because there may or may not be facts that would change our minds about this that we don't know, the broader thing we can address is, if the student chapter of the Ku Klux Klan wants to form on campus and it requires people to be white or have whatever heritage to be a member, much
or
less,
even Christian.
Yeah, well, Christian, not Catholic, not Jewish, not black, whatever. Actually, not whatever, all of those things, then presumably that would be there. I don't know whether there's a code of conduct or, it's the school's human rights policy is presumably there so that my example doesn't occur.
I think
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I think the original policy was specifically meant to maintain inclusivity.
Yeah.
And they made it a religious exemption.
My question is
no one else would have gotten that.
Yeah. My question, I may have missed it, but was there an event that triggered this lawsuit? Because it was the U.S. government against the college, and so to engage in this lawsuit, that's a very expensive endeavor. So something must have happened to have triggered this.
Well,
there was a religious group that helped to fund it, but it wasn't terribly relevant information, so it got crossed out.
The U.S. government wasn't. They sued the school.
Correct.
If you mean the school response.
It's the Christian Fellowship /USA versus the University of Iowa.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm not sure what that USA means. I guess it's just InterVarsity Christian Fellowship USA. So it's just the United States branch of the InterVarsity Christian Fellowship. That doesn't sound government.
Yeah, well, that one doesn't. But if it's a public school, I think is what you're referring to.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would then be the University of Iowa part of the thing.
Yeah.
That would have to go. Yeah.
So it was the Christian school who sued the university.
Right. Christian
organization.
A Christian club within University of Iowa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But of course, it's not just a university club. It's the InterVarsity Christian Fellowship USA, which is probably a big Christian organization.
Yeah, that's possible.
Well, I mean,
that has
sure
that has clubs in all the universities.
They only had 40 members in Iowa, but you're right. They might have a number of.
That sounds like a parent organization, which is doing the suing because, the members of a club wouldn't have the wherewithal to sue. So
part of the story said it dropped from 40 to 20, and so I don't think those 20 college students are going to scrape together the money for a lawsuit. I actually don't even know what this organization does.
So they're just
varsity.
I'm thinking they're obviously just evangelicals, something or other. I mean,
just going to Kevin's point is just like this seems to be such a non-issue, but a large investment of money was invested into this non-issue.
Yeah,
which just like JFK movie said, follow the money, follow the money.
Yeah,
right.
Well, there's that, but it's also like. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
we're really not worried about a Christian infiltrating the ACA and rising through the ranks and then running for president. Well, we're not worried about that.
Yeah, I mean,
Matt's secretly still a Baptist.
I was gonna say, oh wow, he's playing the long con.
Yeah, it's a long
right.
Yeah,
but Christians,
he could make so much more money as an actual
in our view,
Baptist preacher.
They've already bought into some crazy ideas and the conspiracy theory of atheists trying to infiltrate their organization to destroy it from within. I'm sure that reads perfectly reasonable to them
because that's what they're doing.
You've got a good point there.
Well,
they're conditioned for that kind of
they're supposed to be persecuted.
Yep.
And if you're not persecuted, then you're not on the right path.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know this organization, so I don't know what it does.
We're talking out our ass here, but yeah.
That is a common Christian attitude. I think it comes straight from the Bible, if I'm not mistaken.
Blessed are you when you're persecuted in my name.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yep. Can I go on to the next story?
Yeah. Can you imagine how much money Matt would make with the deconversion story, though?
Oh, my God. Yes.
That'd be a Lifetime movie.
Oh, he'd be a millionaire by this time next year.
What actor do you think would they get to play Matt?
Oh, I don't know.
That'll be on for next episode.
I don't know how many famous bald actors there are.
Michael Chiklis.
Yes.
I can see it.
I've heard the name
before. I'm
going
to score brownie parts with Matt and say Vin Diesel.
I don't know that Vin Diesel would make a Christian film. Although I guess it would go mainstream, right? Because it'd be a good enough story.
Who played the DEA agent in Breaking Bad? The bald police.
That guy. He was good.
Yeah, he was good. He'd make a good.
Okay.
We're already casting him in the film. I'd like to point out he is still an atheist, guys. We can't, and also not an actor. So
all right,
a young Patrick Stewart would have been good too.